What is going on, guys? The Glitcher here again with another episode of that video game show. Sorry, guys, we did take some time apart. Me and Galaxy, we had some crazy work schedule and stuff going on. So yes, we did take some time off. But we are back. We are going to make sure we be on this consistently hitting that grind, bringing news and entertainment the best we can for y'all. But first and foremost, it's not just me. It's also my very amazing sidekick, Galaxy Eater. How you doing today, Galaxy?
I'm feeling pretty underwhelmed with the latest news in gaming with the things that have been going on. Even though we have been gone, um, we're going to try this new format at least for the time being until we can come together with a better schedule.
Yes.
That's all that is. We're really in an adjustment period, and I'd like to apologize to all of you. For that. We've been we've been letting things kind of like build up, especially on my end. Things have not been super amazing. I'll just leave it at that because it is mostly personal. Plus the work schedule, as you already know, we both work like the graveyard shift, not just the night shift. We work the night shift plus the graveyard shift.
Yeah,
So
we do a lot, so that's why it was kind of like work was starting to get going a lot. So we had to figure some stuff out. We're making another episode of that video game show for you guys, and like I said, it hopefully everything keeps going right to where we can keep it going and just keep delivering game news, right?
of course, and I want to go ahead and start with this GTA thing. This GTA thing has been getting out of control,
Oh
and it
yeah.
has actually spiraled into this boycott. So let's go ahead and start with that.
Yeah, like if you guys are not up to date, which I'm sure everybody is because this is the most talked about game of the year, GTA 6 got leaked by I can't remember what the leaker's name is again. But regardless, this guy hacked into Rockstar, got all the stuff. He's got a whole build of the game. He's been putting stuff up there. It's actually getting so crazy that Take Two, that works with Rockstar, has already lost $2 billion worth of stocks, which is absolutely crazy. Now, some of the videos I've seen a couple, like I said, Rockstar's really, really strict on all that. They're like striking everybody down. I've seen a couple. I got a couple. I wanted to throw it in the gameplay video, but then this thing will get strike down right away. But a lot of people were saying it was a 2023 build, so that's why it was like, it's an older build. That's why it doesn't look so great. And then somebody had pointed out one of the songs that was playing in the car was a song that was released in 2025. Like they're going deep detective work on this. So a lot.
As they should, as they should.
Oh yeah, I mean, if this is supposed to be the biggest game of the year, you're gonna want to know like everything about it. And like the guy, he had like he was playing it, and to prove he was playing it, he shot up a wall and wrote leak. It's after watching some of this stuff, man. I gotta be real honest. Don't get me wrong, the game does look nice. I just think this is way too much overhype for this type of game, man. For being in development hell for this long and then charging the people this price for this, you know, I'm sorry. It's like I said, I want to play the game because I have been waiting, but I'm not going right out the gate gonna go shell $100 out for something. I'm gonna wait because after seeing what I saw, I was really, really disappointed, and I was not a big fan of that because it's like you're charging how much, you're getting how much, and then seeing some of this game, I don't like I said, it looks nice. It's okay. You could tell it's on a newer generation of consoles, and it's going to progress more. Um, I,
Well, I mean, like this is also the main problem that we're seeing with stuff today is coming out. It's coming out. We've already said it's coming out. Incomplete. It's coming out
mm-hmm.
on older hardware. They're charging you maximum dollar for a minimum effort. I mean, this is literally what the gaming industry has become in like the last 10 years or so. So this is really. I mean, this isn't that much of a surprise to me. What is for me, what the bigger deal is, and I remember this because I think this is what the shill said. I think it was either the PlayStation shills or the actual company themselves coming out and saying something to the tune of, "Hey, we're going to try to avoid physical copies because we want to avoid, the game being leaked." And that has been the dumbest argument I've ever heard. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Nintendo products, specifically Pokemon.
Yeah.
Those fuckers are about as crazy as GTA fans. If not, I'm pretty sure there's probably an overlap there where they will actually take the data they can get their hands on, or even like the demo, and they will data mine the crap out of it just to see if there's an extra Pokemon or two to the Pokedex. And that's a Pokemon game. We're talking about GTA.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. I mean, like that's like I said before, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Absolutely not. That just this to me proves two things. Number one, you cannot stop somebody who's motivated to do something. So please take this lesson. If you are motivated to do something, you can get anything done. Don't
Yeah.
matter who you are, doesn't matter what body you're born in. If you're motivated to do something, you will get it done. Number two, this proves to us that the companies that we're giving our money to don't give a crap about,
Nope.
us as consumers.
Mm-mm.
As my friend Glitcher said, you're running the game on like a 2023 engine, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, that's not too egregious. And there's a song in there that's more recent, which again, I'm not like too upset about because not only is this, and this game has been in development for like a long time, right?
Like
But at
12
that,
years.
yes. And at that same token, it's like, why are you not putting your foot in it? You're GTA, you're going to get massive amount of money. You're telling me that you're not even going to put your foot in it and like give it like the best you got. And if that's the best you got, then this game's not worth $80
No.
at base. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, like of course there are some AI videos out there. Um when we get done, I'll send you some of the videos. I don't unless you've seen some of the gameplay that was leaked out and stuff. Like I said, it's just kind of like it looks nice. You can tell it looks better than GTA 5. Does it look like a million times better than GTA 5? Me personally, no. I think it's just a little bit better. And that's to me, I feel for if you're going to try and like just jack the shit out of people with money, like you're gonna charge them $100 for the whole thing, then you're gonna charge them a monthly, and whatever else you're gonna charge. What I don't know how true it is, but it keeps getting brought up. You get thrown in jail. You actually spend 2 real life days in jail unless you want to get out. You spend $15. It's like you are figuring out more. You're going worse than Ubisoft at that point with all the transactions and microtransactions and all that crap. Because, dude, your game alone that game alone has sold over, I think they said, what, 3 billion's worth of pre-orders. So they definitely made their money back. I think they said they had to at least make like 1.5 billion to like break out. So dude, 1.5 billion in profit. But now Take Two is losing 2 billion in their shares because a lot of people are very upset with the game and how it looks. And the main reason why this guy is showing all this stuff off is because no physical copy. Look, here's my thought on it. If you want to avoid spoilers, which is the lamest thing ever, it's whatever. They can strike down all these people with the leak videos, but they can't strike down people with other videos. I mean, come on, that's bullshit. That's it.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so this is kind of like my thoughts on that. You're definitely right. You can track these people down. You can strike them down, right? You can hit them with some legal action,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to cost them too much money, too much effort. For what we already learned, they're not willing to even put that much effort into their own game. So we already know that they're safe there.
Yeah.
And honestly, if the game and you know what, I will go on record for saying this: if the game is already out there, if you can get your hands on it, leaked, I say go ahead and just get it and not even give them your money. Because I'm
Exactly.
like I'm looking at it. I'm even looking at it now, just like give my brain a refresher. Because I did peep some of the stuff from before. I think it was like a couple days ago. But I'm looking at it again, and I'm not. And I just this is like my same reaction with like when it first came out, or like the first teasers were coming out, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it looks so beautiful." I was like, I don't know. It doesn't look that much more than like GTA 5, right? And I
Yeah.
think we also hit a point in gaming where hyper realism. I think we're actually drunk on hyper realism. Um, and I hope you don't mind. We're gonna slide over into Halo real quick because
Yeah. Go ahead.
this is Yeah, no, because I've actually been playing the Halo campaign evolved, and I have a lot of freaking thoughts there. First of all, we're again, like I said, we're getting drunk on hyper realism. Like it's like almost everything has to be hyper realistic. Everything has to be realistic. Everything has to be realistic. You can't keep doing that. What's the point of something fantasy if you have to make everything look so realistic? You just take the fantasy out of it. You're taking the fun out of it. You're taking the imagination out of it. You're taking the
Mm-hmm.
art out of it. And looking at the GTA stuff here, you can definitely see that. Of course, there is, GTA has always been like a grounded series, but there's always had like its own art style, going all the way back to GTA. What was it like 3
Yeah.
when they made that jump to 3D?
Yeah, the open
And
sandbox, which
yeah,
that was groundbreaking right there. To me, that was groundbreaking. Three, and then four cleaned it up, and then five kind of see. I felt I don't know, a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I know they are, but I feel like four had almost somewhat better graphics than five until they released it for the third time on PS5 and Xbox Series X. So, how much more you can do? I mean, yeah, do a little bit more fine tuning with the stuff, but you're not. It's not going to look like. I mean, you might as well let AI make the video game then, because that's what people want. They want it to look like that, and it's. Uh, but anyways, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good because, like, again, this is stuff from your own perspective and experience, and this affects how you're going to buy and purchase these things in the future if you ever do.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We're going to do a little more jumping around. We'll touch Halo in a second because we need to talk about the PlayStation Blackout, which I'm going to 100% say I feel like it's a great movement. It's just 10 years too late.
It's too late.
Um,
It should have
yeah,
happened right at the beginning when everything was going down with the right when they announced the the no more discs after 2028. That should have happened right. But I mean, give it a little bit, but not because now at this point, and I'm not saying Sony was right, but they waited it out a little bit so people lost interest. Now there's still a lot of people that are saying fuck Sony because when they did that Phantom Blade Zero gameplay, state of play, their comments was just riddled with no disc, no buy. Nobody was asking questions about the game. They just kept ranting and raving about it. So maybe it might actually do something, and that starts tomorrow. Uh, are you going to try and partake in it? Are you going to play on the PC, or are you going to actually jump on the PS5 at all?
so this is what's gonna happen. I know you guys already know this. I got the PS5 from my guy Glicker over here, so I did not pay PlayStation. I'm actually paying him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we're. I'm doing my best to give Sony my money as far as I can. I'm gonna try to buy everything from like the secondhand market because we need to support that market. More importantly, now with that being said, not only I feel like I'm kind of pioneering it. I know it just I'm not trying to sound narcissistic because I've already had the thought process, but I'm probably going to take this a little longer. I've actually been playing The Last of Us 2, and then when I saw the thing come up, I was like, well, damn. This is it's perfect timing though because it has to come somewhere. We can't give these people an inch because they've taken 20 miles out of the centimeter that we gave them,
Yeah.
and it needs to stop. It needs to stop somewhere. And I am not only going to join it, I'm supporting it. I'm giving it my full endorsement on
Oh
a
yeah.
personal level.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Sony's just going on their own merry way, and they're pretty much the way they're acting is like they don't give a shit about their fans anymore. They're not caring of how they got to where they're at because now they're just money hungry, and it's getting like to the point to where it's so sad because Sony was on the verge of collapsing. They were on their last leg, and then Nintendo gave them the shaft. If they wouldn't have taken that chance with that PlayStation years ago, they wouldn't even be around. I don't think they would have lasted too much longer. Yeah, now they're able to build better TVs and everything, but man, they almost lost it all. And now it's just they don't care. It's like they're pretty much sticking it to the fans. They're going, "We don't care. You people." They are pretty much saying, "You people are stupid enough to the where you're just gonna buy it. So whatever you say, you're gonna say no disc, no buy, and you're gonna still go buy something." See, and I will openly admit this right now. I will say this because I am still interested in it, but the last thing I'm going to buy for PlayStation ever is the Wolverine game. Other than that, and I know that's getting a lot of shit, but that's the last thing I will ever buy for PlayStation. I, yeah, Phantom Blade Zero is a Sony product, but it's still going to be on PC, so I'm getting it on PC. So that's kind of like, oh, well, you're buying Phantom Blade Zero. Well, that's Sony. Yeah, I get it. But an actual one that's strictly for Sony is going to be Wolverine, because everything else I'm going to get on PC, because I'm sorry, you know, I've been looking forward to that game, and I'm about to get into that game here in a minute because people are just absolutely ridiculous with this game. So, but yeah, Sony is pretty much calling their fan base stupid, and we're just gonna buy it and eat it up anyways because we're their good little pets, and that's what's absolutely upsetting me is about that.
Well, oh yeah, well that's actually what happens with brand loyalty, especially like after it's been going on for so long. Because it's not even just Sony, it's not just Xbox. It's just how things are in general. And if you are really really young, like I want to say, if you're like below the age of like 21, I felt like you've never really experienced a time where consumerism wasn't as toxic. I mean, consumerism has always been bad, on some level. It was never like this. Like they're blatantly showing their hands, and then you still have people running to get on their hands and knees and defend, these companies, in the grossest of ways. And
Yeah.
I've never, I've heard people say and do stupid stuff before. I've never heard a Nintendo fanboy go to the ends of the earth to defend a very bad, very poor decision on Game Freak's part to not do something for the Pokemon franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, I know this is not super big news, but for those who are Pokemon fans and who still use Pokebank or like to use like the old games and original hardware, your days are numbered.
Oh.
So they basically came out and announced, I think it was earlier this week, that they're going to shut down Pokebank for good. So that
What?
means you won't be able to transfer any Pokemon from your original hardware from Generation 3 up to Generation, I think, 6. And then anything from like 6 and 7, they might have like another way to do it, or they just might not be able to do like the DS games at all. But at that same token, they're saying that their Fire Red and Leaf Green, the virtual games, are now able to connect to Pokemon Home. So Nintendo has also shown their hand. And this is for something who aren't, and this is literally hate for people who are physical lovers, like who hold like their own physical games, who hold their games for years and years and years, who actually know how to open up their games, replace the batteries,
Mm-hmm.
replace the things, and they know how to solder and things like that. Like they are so hateful that they will end a what I would like to call a legacy defining app or a function, right? In order just to get your dollar so you can buy it again and again and again. Because if you already own Fire Red or Leaf Green, what's the best way of making you buy it again? Make it impossible for you to move those Pokemon into future titles. Because I think you can still move them up to Generation 5 without the app, but then like once you hit that point, you can't go from 5 onward. So you can't make them legal for tournament play for Pokemon Champions. And I don't think it's an accident they did this the same year Champions came out. I feel like that's kind of like a huge red flag. So it's going to be an all digital future on the Nintendo front too. Like they've obviously been showing their hand with that for like the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But this is the biggest red flag because I mean, Glitcher. I don't know if I don't because I don't think you really like Pokemon like this. But if you've been playing the game since like you're a kid, you've always been able to transfer your games up through the generations. And
That.
if you've been playing for a long time, you have Pokemon from people that don't even play the game anymore. So
Yeah.
some people use those as mementos.
Like I love Pokemon, but I was never like, never that deep into it. So, but yeah, no. And that to me, that sounds like try. And this is what's sad is, you know, us as the consumer, we help make these companies. And this is like absolutely ridiculous. It's like they almost seem like these companies now want to punish us for, being fans and wanting to play games. Like the RAM crisis. That all the RAM sold for next year already, so that's going to be freaking impossible if you want to try and build a PC. PlayStation and uh, Nintendo want to be able to control what you can and can't do with their product, which I think is absolute garbage. Uh, and to me, that is horrible. And Xbox, at least Xbox, in my opinion, is making an attempt because they're trying to do disc to digital, which is great because you could still keep the physical media. But these other guys, like PC, yeah, you get the money to build it, that's cool, but it's like, why should you have to spend so much money to build a good PC? Back in the day, to build top tier PC, it was like $4,000. Now it's going to be like 10 grand to even more now with the RAM being all screwed up. It's like they're almost punishing us because they want their data centers to be the way of the future, and that's going to screw everybody over too. So, which is absolutely ridiculous. And now Sony, it's like, oh, we're taking the physical away because we want to control what you play. And see, I don't like that because they could shut a game off and you lose that money. That's it. That's it. I will never forgive how they shut off Anthem and I got nothing in return. And I bought like the super awesome edition for it. And I got no money in return after that. It's like, oh, that's cool. So that's what worries me. And then on top of that, internet goes out, like Xbox and Sony's connections were messed up a couple weeks ago. Nobody could do anything. Yeah, that's a real terrible freaking thing, man. So I'm paying all this money for this fucking BS console, these games, and I can't even play them. Like I can't put the disc in for the single player game to get going, which now it sounds like they're going to make you have an internet connection for single player games too now. It's like they
Yeah,
want to truly control everything, which
yeah,
which is wild because like the other day when I won in one of our many banned storms we have out in the country, lost the internet. But guess what? I could still play my Steam games without the internet. Ooh, see? But it's like PlayStation and Xbox, you can't do that. And it's just like these guys are punishing us for helping them become who they are.
yeah. They literally bit the hand that feed them here. And I really hate how our shows devolved into the same subject. But I felt like if we don't say this or if we don't hammer it home, the younger kids are going to get comfortable with the idea of having it right now at the expense of not having it tomorrow. And what's the point of not having it tomorrow or now? If there's no way to remember it, even if it's like a silly little Roblox game, when those things go down, they go down for good. Because they're under the owner's deal. They have to like keep that up. I mean, sure, it's gonna be like on Roblox, but like if the owner wants to shut something down, it's done. And for
Not
those
to
that
cut
do
you
play
off,
Roblox, you put that
not to
there.
cut you off, they need to shut down Roblox first and foremost because
Of course.
the people that work on Roblox care more about pedophiles than they do about the kids playing it. So that one could disappear, and I would be happy. That's ridiculous. But anyways, I'm sorry. You said Roblox, and it got me like my blood pressure rose a little bit.
Well, I use it as an example because I know kids still play that. It's like one of those, like, I wouldn't call it a safe game, but it's a game that has like a lot of community in it. There's a lot of memories behind it, especially for like people who are older now. They're what, like, people like at 21, they played Roblox, for years even before. And I can't even believe, how old those kids and those people are. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Just taking a moment to think about that.
Yeah. It's like you think about the people that jammed Pokemon back in the day, and it's still coming out, and they're like, yeah, and they're like 40s and stuff, and it's like, damn, like one of my all-time favorite games is Resident Evil, and they are, besides the remakes, which are chef's kiss, Resident Evil 9. If they can keep pumping out great stories and stuff like that, that's going to be great. And Resident Evil came out in 96, which is
Hmm.
ridiculous that it's still going. Halo came out in 2000 and it's still going. Like good game.
That's debatable.
Yeah, well, they're gonna remake the other two, which that's cool because I feel that those two do really good. And they actually beef up the multiplayer like Halo 3's multiplayer, but kind of beef it up a little bit. Then I think they'll have something gold on their hands again, as long as they can keep going with the right story and everything. Because yeah, we were talking about it the other day. Like I liked Halo 4. The only problem I had with it is, oh, I thought we were at peace with the Covenant. Oh, a lot can happen in 4 years, and then the ending fight was quick time event. That's my issue with it. And then Halo 5 was, but I would
Well,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, well, when it comes to, that and like the preservation of games, I feel like remaking them is really no longer. I feel like that's just like a safe way for them to like get things done. And
Yeah,
then after playing like this most recent Halo remake, and I know I might get some flack for this, it's just not it. Right now I'm actually giving it a go right now in story mode because I've already played like one of the secret missions, and there's a lot I have to say, but from like the lore standpoint, and I think that's like the problem with like remaking things. And with like the Last of Us 2, they kind of changed like the lore of like the what was it, like the end of like Last of Us 1 with
yeah,
like one of the doctors or something like that. And that's something I have a problem with remakes. They're able just to rechange the story to fit a new narrative, which is not always a bad thing.
yeah,
But when you don't work with what was already there, it's like I don't know. It feels weird. It feels weird. It feels lazy when they do stuff like that. Um, and that's just how I feel like about like remasters, remakes nowadays. It's like they don't take the time to go, hey, we had this, and this going on. Let's go ahead and try and make it fit. No, let's just go ahead and rewrite it
yeah.
because
They're
people are
afraid to
dumb. They're
take
not going to remember.
chances now. They're
Yeah, and that's not our fault as
now.
gamers.
Like one of my favorite games of this year, besides Resident Evil, was Pragmata. That game took a shot and it went over greatly. I like a lot of people loved it. It did good. I hope Capcom sees and tries to somehow, if they can, make a sequel to it. Maybe run with a different area with different people. Try, I don't know, but it did really well. And that was like they took a shot, they went with it, and they made the goal. A lot of these companies are afraid to take those chances anymore. Like Wolverine, they're taking the. It's not really a chance. It's established character and everything, but a lot of people are giving it flack because it's like, oh, his clothes regenerate, which they gave. Well, do you want him running around naked in the first 5 minutes with his dong blazing around? And it's like, oh, why isn't he hiding out? Why isn't he? It's like, dude, this is Wolverine. He's a freaking savage. He's a monster, dude. He's not all about that. Like, they showed a video where he was tracking somebody. And when the guy was running, you saw like a red mist follow behind him. And like, oh, that was a copy off The Witcher. It's like, he's a tracker to begin with. How else is he going to follow the guy? It's like, dude, they got to give some indication of how to follow the dude. Yeah, it's like, and then, which I thought was funny, the Sentinel fight with the Ben 10 animation. He's fought all this stuff before. It's not like nothing brand new. He's fought Sentinels. Like, I get it. People just want to slam on this because it's only on PlayStation. It's not going to Xbox. It's not going to Steam. So people are just going to slam whatever, which is very upsetting because it's probably at the end of the day going to be a good game, but a lot of people are going to review bomb it and make it look horrible, make it sound horrible, which is absolutely terrible in my opinion. But like I said, that's the last thing I'm looking forward to ever spend money on for Sony. So
Well, I feel like there's I'm gonna be very fair. I know I've been like the voice of opposition, like between the two, but I really feel like I'm gonna be very fair to like both sides here. I don't think Wolverine is going to be a failure or a flop at any point. So if you're just like hating on it or get on the hate wagon because it's cool or because you guys think it's gonna change something, it's not. And that's actually when it comes to like a lot of these things. I'm not saying just give up. I'm just saying realize if you're gonna dislike something, dislike it for your own reasons. Um, Now where I definitely draw the line on Wolverine and the things that I don't like. Obviously when it comes to games like Spider-Man, Wolverine, etc., that's always been like a PlayStation thing. And I really hope that you guys, just let those things be PlayStation, because there's nothing wrong with like exclusivity. In fact, there used to be a time where PlayStation was synonymous with like strange anime fanboys and single player experiences that were just wow. And the Xbox was being like that Halo guy.
Yeah,
And now we're in an age where a lot of those lines don't even exist anymore. Not just because the games are being shared, but rather those things don't mean anything anymore. None of them means anything.
yeah,
And this is kind of like where we're at. So I want you guys to definitely keep that in mind when you're coming up with your opinions. Now, where I think Wolverine is going to fail, me personally, is I feel like it's going to be like a Last of Us 2 situation where they're kind of going to cuck Wolverine. I saw him like without his mask, and I was just like, who the hell is this guy that's
yeah,
cosplaying Wolverine?
yeah.
I've seen like a lot of the dialogue like between him and Jean. Jean seems to be angrier, which I'm questioning what kind of Jean are we going to get? Is she going to be like closer to the Phoenix? Is that what's going on? Or they're going to kind of like do the Spider-Man, but they're kind of, and if they're going to kind of do like a Spider-Man thing, and I don't mean like Spider-Man is in the game. One of the safest bets Marvel has always had, especially with the Spider-Man IP, is that you can introduce characters within the Spider-Man universe and still make it fit. Because Spider-Man, believe it or not, his universe is not super big unless they allow it to be big. I mean, you can
Hmm.
say that about most characters, but it's a lot easier to introduce characters when you're only in one city versus like like a Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you're trying to cram everyone in there. That doesn't work because it's the Galaxy. You're going to sit there and think about like, oh wait a second, this doesn't work and that doesn't work, which is true. For those that actually sit there and think about stuff like that, you're definitely right. When something doesn't work, call it out. Obviously, but when it comes to Spider-Man, notoriously safe, you can actually add like I think it was like really cool, like way back in the day with the Fox Kid Spider-Man, where they introduced a Punisher, and I lost it. I was like, "Who the heck is this guy? He's so cool. He's so metal." And you have the Punisher. They introduced a Fantastic Four. They introduced like a number of characters that I had even no idea who they were. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, because they did say there was going to be a lot of supporting acts going to be in there today in the game. So it's like, um, that's going to be really cool. Like I said, I before Sony opened their fat mouths and put their foot in it, I was really excited to see ready to play Wolverine. But then they're like, oh well, we don't care about y'all. Just give me your money and everything. And it's like, dude, I just I not desperately, but I want this game to be good because it's going to be the last thing I buy from them. So, and yes, Wolverine does look like the kid from Jumanji, the first Jumanji movie where he was the monkey boy. So yeah, he does look like that, which is kind of weird. But if you think about it though, people want these characters to look a certain way too. Like, look at Marvel's Avengers. Everybody was expecting them to be like the movie, and they made them more comic accurate, and everybody was kind of like, I know that was like a big gripe about that too, besides the repetitive stuff and everything, but they're like, that don't look like Tony Stark, that don't look like Iron Man. And then, Spider Man, people were kind of upset because they wanted him to look like Tom Holland. And it's like, I get it, but it's like, which I don't understand. Why couldn't they get their likenesses? Because
Well,
they did that with Origins, Wolverine Origins. They made him look like uh, Hugh Jackman. Why couldn't they do it in this one? Unless I get it, they might be going for more comic book accuracy, but that looked like Jumanji. I mean, I why wouldn't they just? Your opinion? Would you ever rather have them do what they did, or would you like them to be more film accurate, like the people we've grown up with?
okay, see, and this is where it's more of like a preference thing, and this is like, and I'm not just like being like middle of the aisle here. I want you guys to understand something. Like when you grow up with something, especially just like watching it, and you become attached to like that IP, it is always wonderful when they do stuff like that. It's just notoriously historically, it's just not good, or they don't get like the faces are correct always, and they kind of look funny. Um, if you're talking about Origins, they also did this with they put Hugh Jackman like on the box, and then like when you played the game, he looked more of the comic book version of Wolverine. The what was that? The X2 game from like 2000 and like what 1 or 2?
Yeah.
when they had that game. So I can definitely understand like why that doesn't work. Like from a graphical standpoint, it's like okay, it was easier to do the comic book version versus the movie version. And even then, and this is just me. When it comes to certain characters, you can actually get away with either or. With something like Wolverine, you literally have to be more comic accurate. And this is my only gripe. Hugh Jackman is like the only Wolverine. There are very few people, there are very few actors I feel like that can actually pull off a Wolverine.
Yeah.
And when you start putting things into that perspective, it's like, okay, can this person bring this character to life? Like Patrick, really, there could be like anyone else can play Xavier, but Patrick, I'm always going with Patrick. Yes, I'm going to say Picard is my,
Yeah.
Xavier. No, I will not, back down from that. And it's not just a nostalgia thing, it's definitely how he brought him to life. I want to say he didn't get like his mannerisms exactly correct, but he spoke as soft as Xavier did from like the '90s cartoon. And even then, that's not necessarily completely accurate because in the comic books, it's like they don't have a voice, but you can tell when someone has like a softer approach to things.
Now,
And
oh, go ahead.
I actually like that. No, I was just saying I actually like that.
My question is, since we're talking about Wolverine and everything and recasting and stuff, being we know after Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, they're going to kill, from what they said, they're killing off the whole Marvel universe that we have right now to reboot it. And they had just announced the new cast of X-Men. So I got to look it up. I don't think they said anything about Wolverine, but who do you think at this point now? Because if they're going to eliminate everybody that we've grown up with, who could you see be Wolverine?
Okay. I'm gonna be completely honest. I would have to look at a cast. I would have to look at like the newer actors or actresses because like when I imagine Wolverine, he's usually like an older character per se.
Yeah.
That's why when we look at Hugh Jackman, he looked, in my opinion, well, obviously just gave him like a hair job, but he looks perfect. He looks like really great. He has really strong features. Whoever it is, Hollywood cannot mess up certain characters, and Wolverine's like one of those characters. Like you can't make Superman. Like you can't just make anyone Superman, right? They have to have like the chiseled jaw. He has to look perfect from like a physical aspect.
Henry Cavill.
Pause. But and Wolverine is like literally in that same boat. He has to look completely masculine. He has to be short. I hate to say it. He has to be somebody who's short and who looks kind of like perfect, from like the physique point, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get like another Odyssey situation where you're going to try to give me someone trans and then try to say that they're a man and try to throw that in my face. I'm not having that for a number of reasons, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not even that they are trans or whatever. We're talking about you're trying to make me believe something, right? And in order for an actor to do that, they have to do literally one of three things. One, they have to look the part. And I'm sorry, honey, I don't expect to have a black Wolverine, right? It's just not accurate. And then you have people who are going to be comic book, fanatics, and I really hate to say it, those are the voices that get ignored the most and the
Yeah.
hardest because it feels, I can understand from like a casting point where it seems like you guys are asking for way too much, but they're really not. They're just like, hey, respect the lore from some point, and then we
Respect
can
the
move on from
character.
there.
Don't just
Right?
shoot. Don't just shoehorn in who you want to be shoehorned in, because
Exactly.
that's the way life is now. Because you want to shoehorn a stupid. I'm not trying to say stupid because I don't want somebody to lose their damn mind. But not everybody follows your agenda. Not everybody believes your ideology. We all are allowed to feel the way we want, and if we want something that's comic book accurate, that's all we're asking for.
Right.
You know who makes the big deal out of all of it? The agenda people that are trying to shoehorn that in. So it's like, oh well, you're having a problem with this because it's no, you're making it seem like we have the problem. No, just give us the comic book lore, the accuracy, and minus the agenda because that's being all shoveled in a lot of media now. So it's not much left that doesn't have that all shoehorned in. So, but it's like Wolverine. That one I think is going to be a very tall order to try and fill because Hugh Jackman said it. He set that shit up, dude. and that's going to be great. And like Professor Xavier, Patrick Stewart was the best. The guy who played him, the young, I can't remember, McAvoy was it?
Yeah.
He did okay as a young Xavier, but to an extent, like when they started, like when they did the Days of Future Past, after he was paralyzed, he suppressed his powers and then he could walk again, and it's like that don't make no damn sense. That's weird to me.
Well,
So,
see, that's also, and I'm not sure that was ever in the comic, but I think that was more like a movie thing, like a movie choice, and
yeah,
that's a creative, thing I was talking about before. But honestly, we're really at a point where, um, in entertainment, we if we don't start speaking with our money, this is just going to repeat like this because like righteously complaining about this is not going to do anything for us, right?
no,
And honestly, it's just giving us like a platform to speak our minds. But
voice our
honestly, unless we
opinions.
right, and unless we actually follow through with that, and I think that's one thing that Sony, and I'm going to bring it back to Sony real quick. They basically called our bluff, and we failed multiple
Oh yeah,
times.
no, they got us. They got us. You know,
And yeah, and it's like unless like we take like a serious stance, and I mean like piracy is probably like the only stance that they will respect, and it won't even be piracy anymore because we don't own any of it, so it doesn't matter, right?
yeah.
Now, of course, they're gonna be like, well, they worked on it and they deserve money and blah 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 blah. I'm like, they already got their money. They're already getting their money. It's kind of hard to say, I want to pay this person for work that they didn't do. Actually, no, that's actually where I'm at. Because, like, and I'm going to slip back into Halo real quick. This whole Halo remake thing, the one thing that burns me the most is that the majority of this game, from what I've been hearing, has just been outsourced. And you're trying to tell me that you renamed yourself Halo Studios, but you can't be bothered to remake your own game? And it's one thing if you got help because you were inexperienced
And
in,
you did
said game
CSL
making,
plasma.
and it was
Was a
amazing.
protein test. Will they still have you do a protein test? Sorry, I was something sidetracked me for a second, so I muted my
No, you're
mic.
good. I was just making sure everything was okay. I was about to
Yeah,
say, everything all good.
no, I got sidelined. I was just got a message or something, but no. Um, and yeah, like remaking things that's the top tier thing right now. Like the one video I sent you, I don't know if you or not. It wasn't a video; it was a comment I sent you earlier, because this also, talking about this and then the Wolverine thing made me think. I just remembered this one game I wanted to talk about. Did you ever play Horizon Zero Dawn?
I have not yet.
So they have Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. That's the sequel.
Hmm.
So, and they were pretty good games. I enjoyed them. I mean, they weren't like, oh my god, they're gonna change the video game world.
Hmm.
Well, they're Guerrilla from directed by Sony told them to make a live service Horizon Hunters Gathering. And a lot of people gave it flack because A, it looked like Fortnite, B, it was a live service game, and C, that was that narrative they were shoving in there. And a lot of people were giving a crap saying it's going to fail, and they actually put the kibosh on it for a little bit. Um, but this is kind of shitty on Sony's part, I think. They gave Guerrilla Games the green light to work on it again, to make it a single player game. But here's the stipulation they did. I believe Sony said, yeah, you guys can do a single player game the way you want it, but you have till the end of the year to make it worthwhile. Which, dude, it's going to be September. Really? So that just shows you that they want to fucking either cancel the game or shove out a live service game so they can get money.
I'm about to say I think it's the second one, and I also think it's so this is something I unfortunately had, and this is actually growing up, by the way. When you realize what's actually going on in the world of things that you love, to be a fan of something doesn't mean crap anymore. It doesn't really mean diddly, right? If you want to be a
Yeah.
fan of something, pick up a book. I really even hate to put it that way because video games has always been that medium where sure it takes something away from the imagination, but it's always been like an experience. Like you're trading off imagination for the experience of actually doing it yourself, right?
Yeah.
and you can always tell a very interesting. It was basically a medium between a book and a movie. You know, you had the power to do the actual thing, and it was just like a different level. And now we're actually at a point where you're not even going to get that anymore. You're not going to get the same experiences. Like right now, I'm actually playing the Halo game, and I just played the first level again, and I'm disgusted. You know, probably with the whole live service thing, especially with Horizon Zero Dawn,
Yeah.
I don't think those things are necessarily inherently bad when they are released side by side with something that's like a story mode or something of the sort. And companies are so greedy and they promise so much to their investors that we're not going to get those kind of we're not going to get anything really good anymore. That's basically what I'm saying. They're so greedy that you know they're they're just not going to give us quality crap anymore. And even further, we're going to see more woke stuff, more agenda stuff, even sly agenda stuff, or things that aren't necessarily woke per se, like they don't rise to that level, but it's going to be more subtle because this is this that is part of their agenda. I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but that's the world that we live in. Like even
Yeah.
back then, that's you saw like agenda type stuff, but back then it was more like governmental conspiracy, blah 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 blah. But back then it was more like, I wouldn't call it light. Like the X, I was watching someone on YouTube the other day. They were talking about the X Files, and
Oh
they're
my
talking
God.
about they had to sit down and explain certain things because those episodes don't make sense out of context, of the time. Because back then, I don't know if you remember, but like they're talking about the Tuskegee experiments. The government conspiracy theories were at an all time high back then,
Yeah.
and this is also because of the rise of the internet. The internet is not as policed as it is now.
Yeah. No.
No.
The
So
only
people
thing
could
they
just say anything.
Yeah, the only thing they watch over now on the internet is as long as you're not talking smack about El Presidente. On that, you could say whatever you want. So, but you were talking about game, how these investors, don't really take chances. They want to, have the sure thing. So if they see a name that's already been established and people are enjoying it and everything, like as we're talking about it, one of my gameplay videos that's going through right now is a game called Mortal Shell 2. And it just released, and I haven't played the first one. I played the beta for the game, and like the game's on Steam right now. I haven't seen the console release yet, but like I feel like this game is only going to remain on Steam because they're not. I feel the investors wouldn't invest like 100% into this to bring it on consoles. I would love for it to make it there. I'd love to be wrong and say, "Oh yeah, no, it is coming to consoles," but there's like so many games that get done independently and that are on Steam that are actually real good games that like I've talked to and showed a lot of people, but they never see a console release. And that's what's upsetting is because a lot of people stop taking those chances because they know they're not going to make a whole bunch of money on it because they like this game. It's like, okay, well, how can we milk the customer for everything they're worth? It's like you really can't because it's not a type of game like it's like Dark Souls and all that. But to me, I didn't think it was that hard. But it's like, that's not a game you can really milk. You can come up with an add on, but other than that, yeah. So I think that's what they look at now is a lot of these games. It's like, okay, well, how can we add on to it so we can get every ounce of money from the customer? And to me, I think that's garbage because there's a lot of good games that you'll see on Steam and the Epic Game Store and everything for PC that are fantastic games, but just because they can't make a whole bunch of money off of it, it'll never make it to the consoles. And see, that's why I think Sony's like, well, we'll give you till the end of the year to get this game the way you want it. And if it's not there, then we're going back to sucking the life out of the game and just sucking money out your wallets. So, and that's which falls back to Grand Theft Auto 6. That is going to be a wallet destroyer, and I I don't ever like to see things fail. It's an art form. Video games, in my opinion, are an art form. They tell stories. People spend their time, and make games look the way they do and everything. But when people are starting to like just want money from it, they want to shove an agenda in it. They're starting to ruin it, and that's what's. I'm sorry, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going down that route. I know you feel kind of like that way with Halo. Last of Us 2 did it. I can't, to this day, I hate everything about The Last of Us 2. Um,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm actually getting through Last of Us 2, and I'm actually at a point now where I feel like I have to kind of grit my teeth, to get through it. And
yeah,
the sad part is, it's not too like there's a good game in there. That's actually the part I actually hate the most, and I think that's what makes it the hardest for me to swallow is that The Last of Us 2 is actually a damn good game from a couple of perspectives. First of all, they've obviously had learned better environmental telling and side storytelling. Like their side storytelling in that game is peak. And that's something I would love to see in more zombie media, or like the side stories or the hidden stories, or you know what I'm saying, like the sadder aspects of it to
yeah,
give the world more life. They actually gave that world a lot of life. That's why I'm just like, did the story just go to like the hidden stuff? Because the main story is just garbage. And I'm not just saying that because, you have two female protagonists. In fact, that is kind of why, like a couple reasons why I think the game is crap. Not because of the female protagonist, but the focus on the fact that they're females, and then like having the females, not just, the protagonists, but like even like the enemies, they're female enemies that just straight up look like Jews and they're just jacked.
yeah,
Now, there are enemy types where it kind of falls under that, which is okay to like a certain degree. But honestly, I'm looking at it and I can tell like what they're trying to do, and I don't like it. Like when you're older, you especially, or when you're someone who deals in the truth, you can see, you see the things and you can say no. It's okay to say no to those things. You don't have to be pressured to say, oh yeah, well it's just because you're being a bigot. No, I just don't appreciate, being tricked.
yeah,
And I think that's just like where we are. And I don't like how people use buzzwords to kind of like bully you into submission. And that's just something that's just like a common thing with like, the younger crowd more openly, because that happens in every aspect of life when people bully other people, try to get them to do whatever. But I felt like it's been more blatant on like the last 15, 16 years,
oh
and
yeah,
I don't agree with it.
yeah. It's like we made this game the way we want it. Oh, you don't like it? Well, there's obviously something wrong with you because you're a bigot because you don't like this that we crammed in there. How dare you not like our agenda crammed into the game? There's something wrong with you, you know?
Right. If you're not an ally, you're an enemy, basically.
Yeah, it's
It's a
like
very it's funny because like you say like you're a non-binary person, but you have very binary thinking.
mm-hmm.
You can still be you don't have to be an ally or agree with somebody, but you can still like be at peace with them. It's like, okay, you can still have love for them as a person. You don't have to agree with everything a person says, which
Yeah.
I know we're kind of going off on a side tangent here, but I feel like this is actually an important bit, when you're going through life.
Well,
You guys need to
this
understand
involves
that.
everything, man. It's in everything. It's like you can't like and I like I said, we've said this a million times before. No, we don't care who you are. You do you, boo boo. You be who you want to be. I don't give a damn what you do in your life that makes you happy. That's what you do, and this is what I do. What I do is what I do, what I think is right. What you do is what you do that you think is right. That's fine. But I'm not going to sit here and force what I think is right on you, and but you tell me I'm stupid, but then you get the right to force your stuff on me in media, video games, and all that stuff. It's just, we play video games to get away from reality with all the stressors out there in life. And when it's shoved into our escape, then that just messes up everything. Like I said, it's not attacking anybody. It's just this is how it is. It's things are being just overtaken, and it's like, come on, man. You could do you, just don't invade our stuff. We don't have much left.
Right, and I definitely have, and that's actually circling back into something that I've obviously noticed, this whole hyper realism thing. Okay, so let's get a couple things straight. I feel like graphically we've plateaued because it feels like the next, frontier is to make things like super real,
Yeah.
right? And unfortunately, the whole VR scene is just goofy, right? But it also is kind of cute. It's like goofy in like in a cute way, like oh, that's adorable. But I feel like, and I still feel like this is the case is that we're gonna see more. Ooh, I just killed myself. We're gonna see more. We're not gonna see as much, like in the VR section because VR is expensive to deal with. From like a developer and a company standpoint,
And I think
companies
VR
won't take it.
peaked.
Yeah, VR did peak, and it's unfortunate because there was a time where we believed that VR was like the future of gaming. If you go back and like watch like older shows from like the '90s and like maybe like the mid to like early 2000s, even South Park did like a whole episode of like Cartman trying to get like the Nintendo Wii, and they
Mm-hmm.
had like the Hollow game, whatever. So it's more like a VR kind of deal. Or that one movie, what was called a game or whatever, like where you control like a different person,
Oh,
and the guy's like in
Ready
the
Player
hollow room
One.
or whatever. No. That was though. That's also another one. But no, where you actually was kind of like Call of Duty, and like people had like these devices like in their brain, and they can like, you know, a player can control like a prisoner or whatever, and you can also play like different.
Oh,
Yeah, you can play like, different characters. You can be like an actual player, or you can be like one of the guys like on
I
the
can't
ground.
remember the name of that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that future's gone,
And
right?
then remember Lawnmower Man?
Yep. So, the whole VR scene is dead, and it's I know, righteously, I feel like we kind of lost something there. We lost a specific kind of style. I mean, like VR is always going to be around, but
Yeah.
it's going to be like the redheaded stepchild to entertainment.
It's gonna have its audiences, like, but to invest like a whole thing, I mean, I would have to say that's a VR enthusiast. But like the PlayStation headset that came out, like the ones, the Oculus and stuff, like, yeah, I could see people paying a couple $100 for that, and that's it. But like, I saw a video of this guy having a whole ass VR setup in his room, and it looked cool, but it's like I couldn't do that. I think he spent like 18 grand on the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw that video where the guy was talking about how much it costs more than his
Mm-hmm.
rent, but he was also like a content creator or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there was a caveat. So, of course that made sense. But that level of immersion, if companies weren't so greedy, you can make that make sense. And yeah, that would be pretty cool. Sure be like a couple $1,000, but that much? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
And then like we live in a world where, you know, and I'm not saying like I expect anything for free because that'd be silly. Like I'm not asking for free video games. That is not what I'm asking for because I feel like you pay for good value, but when there's no value to be had, it's like why pay for something? That's actually why I'm behind this whole we're not in an age of piracy anymore.
Yeah.
But righteously, you can still make the stuff affordable, and you can still make it with decent materials. And obviously, there'll always be like the premium, stuff. You'll always have something that can be made with better materials, and that will always be, a thing. And I really do feel like there's something really nice where you can buy a nice thing that holds up for a long period of time. You're pretty much getting the bang for that's literally what that means. You're getting your bang for your buck.
Yeah.
You're paying for not just something that for as an experience or whatever. You're paying for a premium for something that's supposed to last or something that is worth it. And these companies don't believe in that. That's why I don't think that will ever happen. Not on a proper level.
No, definitely not. And which is sad because from the 80s till, like, I would say up until 2019, video gaming was like the greatest thing ever. Like, but right when COVID happened with the Xbox Series X and PS5. Before that all happened, dude, video games were just like, it was everywhere. You had people that just loved to play it. Dude, I grew up with it. I thought video games were going to just be around forever, and it was, that's a great way to escape. I loved, as of now, a very antisocial person. If I don't have to go outside, I don't go outside. I chill out. I'm making some goofy videos with my son. And I watch TV and I play my video games. I do my work, go to work, make my money, and then come home. And if there's time, I'll shoot a goofy video with my son and watch TV and play video games. I'm very antisocial. I'm happy with that type of life. The fact that after 2019, beginning 2020, when scalpers were going nuts, I feel didn't even get a proper chance to have a good run with that, because the moment people, after 3.5 years, people were starting to get their hands on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and then we ran into the RAM shortage, and then things started going up, and they made promises that the PS5 wasn't going to go up or the Xbox Series wasn't going to go up. Went up last year, it went up again this year, and like I said earlier, the RAM is gone for next year, so everything's going to go up again. So,
Mm-hmm.
and which even Sony says the PS6, they don't even know what's coming out. I mean, Xbox, they still have slated the Xbox Magnus is coming out next year, which, hey, more power to them. I would love to see how they deliver this. My question is what type of price tag they're going to have, because a console hybrid, because look at the Steam machine. Just alone with the 2 terabytes and everything, it was like 1,500. So
Right.
if you want this thing to do well, and I hate to say the word enthusiasts, it's like, no, it's before this all went down, 2019, there was no enthusiasts. It was the only enthusiast statement you had is if you had an enthusiast PC build. That's when $8,000 was like, holy crap. But now, just to have a normal build, my new build's going to probably cost me about 45 to 5 grand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it's gonna be good, but it's not gonna have all the souped up stuff that I want in it. But it's like, that's like, dude, what the fuck? My last PC I built, it had a 2070 Super. It had it was the Intel 9 just came out. So yeah, that was kind of pricey, but the RAM and everything else, dude, I spent no more than 3,500. And that was like the 27 Super was the best thing at the time. So, but like right now I'm running off of a 5070 Ryzen 9 and everything, and I'm gonna step it up next year and make it a little bit beefier. But yeah, dude, the way of video games being the way it was before, no. And the sad thing is, I think these gaming companies, like all these other people that are creating stuff, I feel like things are starting to come to an end. That's why they're raising up everything. I'm not saying the world's coming to an end, but I think they're starting to realize people's patience are running thin. And they're not going to be able to do this for much longer before everybody just loses their mind and just snaps. So I think that's why they're trying to squeeze as much money out of people as they can before that happens.
Yeah, I really do think that is what we're dealing with on
Mm-hmm.
some level. That's why I was saying this is what it is. This is basically how it's going to be until this party's over. This is kind of why I want the next consoles to fail. I
Yeah.
want actually everything in gaming to fail, not because I want gaming to fail, because to have things that I love ripped away from me,
Mm-hmm.
not even just like remade or just anything of the sort, but like have these things die the way that they did. It's one thing like if they just faded to time. Can't stop that. Time will always march forward,
Yeah.
right? But like when you're digging up the corpse of something and you're trying to masquerade in it, absolutely not. And
Yeah.
that's really where I'm at. Like again, I'm playing this remake. I really do not like this remake on a fundamental level. It feels like it misses the mark in almost every way possible. Like I'm actually on the level like where you finally get to Halo, you're finally walking around in Halo. And do not get me wrong, the game looks beautiful from a standpoint that, just graphically it looks pretty, but that misses the point. There's no whimsy in this game. Everything's hyper realistic.
Yeah.
I have the sound turned off so I can't hear the warthog, but I don't think I can. I don't think my heart can take that right now. I don't think I want to listen to the warthog sound like an actual ATV or an actual truck that we have in real life. It actually had a really fun sound before. It sounded heavy, but it also sounded like it was sci-fi. It
Yeah.
feels like, a lot of things are just like being like, fantasy, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of that's just like being sucked out. Like the imagination, the strangeness is just being sucked out.
Yeah.
Among other things. Like I have other gripes about this game. Like the pacing of it is completely terrible, and so is like the gameplay in it. I feel like right now I'm playing on normal, so
Yeah.
obviously if I was playing on legendary, it would obviously be a different story. But I feel like normal is kind of like the baseline of like how the game should play. But this game just feels like a run and gun game. And
Yeah.
Halo was never really a run and gun game unless you're playing on easy, and even then, that wasn't a thing until like Halo 2 or 3. This one, even on easy, we're supposed to slow down. You're supposed to like the game was already moving kind of, I guess, slow for most people, but it was tactical. It was definitely more tactical. You had to pick the right weapon for the right job. You can still brute force a lot of things, but you can also like stick around, move around enemies and whatnot. And we can do that in this too. That's not gone away. It's not like it's specifically this, that, and the third, but it definitely you can definitely feel the pace in this has been ramped up. Like the game is on cocaine. That's what it feels like. It feels like this game is on cocaine.
Yeah. I like that. This game's on cocaine. Like I'm enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it. I have video game ADHD, so I'm bouncing around between multiple games. Like I'm playing Halo. I jumped to what was I playing? Division. I was messing with Destiny. I that's what I like. I have this library right here, and then I just downloaded Mega Man X3 Genesis. If you have not tried that yet, download it. It's pretty much Mega Man X, but revamped as if Sigma won, which I am all about that. So if you get a chance, download that. You, my friends, Galaxy, try and get that. It's really fun. I'm probably gonna mess with that here in a few minutes, or I'm gonna run out. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, we have made a nice return. Hopefully, we will be on this regularly. It was a good time. We talked about a lot of things, which I like talking about what we have to say because I'm sorry, we're not going to shut ourselves up because we said something you didn't like. All right? It's just how we do it. We like what we say. If you have a problem with it, then cool. Just jump off and find something that panders to your needs. We're going to voice our opinions because it is our opinions. We're allowed to say what we want. Not like you guys will rip us apart in the comments. You're allowed to say what you want. It's okay. But other than that, it's been a great time. Galaxy, before we jump off, tell people what you got going on, where they can find you and everything.
Well, you guys can always find me on Twitter, on with Galaxy Eater. That's an I. You'll also find me on YouTube there. I have not been really recently active. I've actually, and that's another thing I need to apologize for. I need to get more active and proactive about what I gotta do, and I need to just slow down and do that because I do enjoy talking about gaming. I enjoy the art form. I enjoy the stories. I enjoy the controversies. Not because controversies are bad. I think controversies are great because they highlight the different mindsets and the different ways that we see things. And I love watching breakdowns of movies, games, TV shows, etc. because you either see something in a different light, or if you were just playing the game and enjoying it, you could have missed some details. And I think if you do watch breakdowns, I feel like you get a deeper meaning out of something, especially out of the stories are being told. Um, so I guess with that, I'll say that I'm gonna play a little more of The Last of Us before the strike comes up because I'm definitely gonna be hardcore all over the strike. Um, I definitely started Pragmata. The game at first felt kind of clunky, but I think it was a controller setting. I actually messed around with the controller settings, and it feels like way more fluid now.
Yeah,
It feels very simple, feels very fun.
Yeah, if you use the
Um,
default setting, it makes it kind of weird. But yeah,
yeah,
set it up the way you want to play, and yeah, dude, it's smooth like butter. Mwah.
and then because like a lot of that was that game was so cute. Like literally in the first couple minutes, my first question is this little girl an android? And of course they said that they addressed that. So I felt like that game was made for you to ask questions, and they were obviously going to get to those questions. They weren't just like gonna jerk you around. I really like that. I really like what the game is about. So I'm definitely going to get into that at some point after the strike. Um, and then, like I said before, I was playing Last of Us 2 because I've never played the game. And until I got Glitcher's PlayStation 5, I actually wasn't even going to play it. And I saw he had it already on his Plus account. So I went ahead and scooped that up real quick. And oh boy, I'm probably going to do like my own video game series where I critique the games from my standpoint then, and I might like revisit them like maybe like a year or two down the line, like when I retouch on them or like when I watch stuff on them. But I have a lot to say about The Last of Us because it really highlights what's going on now. And I really
Yeah,
hate to say it, that was actually our warning shot. And right now we're just getting headshot and teabagged by the gaming industry.
yeah, definitely. But no, that and a thing I wanted to say too, and Galaxy, you could take this too because this is something that I know as we're getting older, we're with things raising in price, we're getting caught up on the grind and we're missing on a lot of things like I miss doing the podcast. I miss doing the video game stuff, but with things like, oh, and man, we got to be on that grind so we can, make ends meet and everything. But
Hmm.
there is nothing wrong just taking a step back and just enjoying what makes you happy. Like I said,
Hmm.
I love doing the podcast. We're going to try and get this going again. Hopefully we can manage work schedules around it and stuff because I love doing this. Even if you guys disagree with us, say we suck, whatever, I still love doing this because I'm talking. I the two things in my life are music and video games, and this has always been like my thing that I love doing. So, like I said, yes, life can get crazy. It can kick us in the balls or the pussy a little too hard. But as long as we slow down once in a while and take a step back and enjoy the things that do make us happy, we'll make it. We're going to be all right.
Yeah, and that doesn't matter like where you stand on anything, anywhere. I really felt like it's important to speak on these things from all different angles. And I really feel like you guys both are supporters and haters. You guys keep doing your thing. And then, we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Probably the only thing I don't appreciate is when people are fake. So as long as I know where my enemies are, I know where to
Yeah.
shoot.
Exactly. And if you got something to say and you want to have a dialogue about it, cool. I'll talk to you. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to like call you trash or whatever. Just, you ain't got to be like, oh, you guys suck. Why? Well, I don't want to talk about it. Bye. Whatever. So, but guys, thank you again for tuning in. I hope y'all have a beautiful Saturday. Play some awesome games, hang out with some families, just talk to people, and have a good time. You can catch me on YouTube, The Glitcher Boys. Twitch, The Glitcher Boys. I know I haven't been on it. Like I said, work's been crazy. Me and my son had started doing TikTok called The Dynamic Duo. So if you guys get a chance, look that up. We're going to be just making funny videos, making fun of each other, doing stupid crap. So, other than that, that's all I got, guys. Uh,
Well, actually, hold
what's
on.
up?
Before we go, I do have a question for you, Glitcher.
What's up?
Do you think we should do like, and maybe like a once a month thing, just because we're so busy? We should take some time and actually live up to the name, the Glitcher Boys, and kind of do like some funny things with video games. Not necessarily, just like cheats, but like do goofy things with games.
Yeah, no,
Try to find glitches in games. I think we should probably try something like that.
oh yeah, no, I'm definitely down with that because me and you, we definitely, and my son can be with us. We could all hook it up. We can do split screen crap, and we could just run around messing with games and see what we can come across. I'm definitely fine with that. I'm never opposed to that.
Because I feel like that'll be a good transition, not just from video game news. I'm not saying we're gonna lose video game news, but if things slow down, I feel like we could do that too, and I feel like that'll be like definitely something fun we could do.
Oh yeah,
Um, And let me get y'all in the comments, and let me get some votes out there if that's something that you guys wouldn't mind messing around with.
Hell yeah, definitely, because I'm all about that. Hey, anything with video games, I'm down. I'm in. I'm in like sin. But, all right, guys, you have a beautiful Saturday. You keep yourselves busy and keep a tight ass. Talk to you guys later.
Peace.